Today we're going to look at three extremely rare trees which happen to be flowering at the very end of June and at the start of July. Now, this is Meliosma oldhamii. It's a 30-year-old tree, and it was originally known as Meliosma pinnata, subspecies Ehretia var oldhamii. But today I think we're all relieved that actually Meliosma oldhamii is its proper name. Meliosma are a genus of evergreen and deciduous trees and shrubs of quite considerable rarity, and they have very odd flowers, as we'll see in a second. Now, Meliosma oldhamii has taken 30 years to flower. It has very pinnate leaves with 3 to 15 leaflets, and the flowers emerge from the tips of the stems as great white balls. And the Americans have christened this tree as the worm-headed tree, which seems to be a slight disservice to what is actually an extremely beautiful tree. This tree has only flowered twice, and it's only ever flowered after an extremely hot summer. And in the case of this particular plant, storm or hurricane Ehretia smashed down absolutely everything all around it, so it's left it rather hot and bothered all on its own, thankfully. And the flower heads are literally weighing down the ends of the branches of the trees. The seed come very quickly, and it's tiny and black. And when it first flowered, by the time we came looking for the seeds on the ground or to cut them off the tree, they'd actually already, the tiny black seeds had already dropped, and we'd missed them completely. So we're not going to make this mistake again, trying to propagate this very rare tree. The other exceptional thing this tree has is that the indumentum, which covers the new growth when it emerges at the start of the spring, is absolutely bright orange. And the leaves, as you can see, when they first come out, are slightly red. You can see some secondary new growth just coming here and there. We can't actually smell the tree because it flowers because they're too high up, but it's certainly very different and very impressive. The only other Meliosma which has flowers like this, which we've seen, is Meliosma alba, and that flowers in March rather than in early summer. A tree to cherish and a true rarity. And here is a tree that is even rarer than the Meliosma oldhamii. It's a Diplopanax stachyanthus. And this was planted in 2017, so it's made really quite a considerable tree in just short of 10 years. And this is only the second or third time that it's actually flowered. And the flowers are really quite peculiar because there don't appear to be any petals at all. But as you can see, the insects and the hoverflies and the wasps and beetles think that the nectar is particularly fine. You see that we've got 6 or 7 anthers, and there was a sort of slight hint of a petal, which now was a little bit yellow when the flowers first came out and has now turned green and folded back on itself. And we hope that these seed capsules will swell up and go black, as they should, and enable us to collect them in the autumn. If you turn to Wikipedia or turn to your reference books and try and find Diplopanax, you're likely to be deeply frustrated, because this is a very new introduction to UK horticulture. It was collected by Krug Farm nurseries in Vietnam, and it also grows in southern China, but clearly no one had introduced it to the UK yet. It will grow from cuttings, which is a big bonus, and Bernkoos did have a few plants about a year ago, but they were snapped up by collectors who, like me, had struggled to find very much information about this evergreen tree on Wikipedia or on any other sort of website search. It's not exactly a showstopper in terms of its flower, but it is certainly peculiar and a very interesting genus, which we believe there may be only 2 species of in Vietnam. Rarity and boringness of flower often go hand in hand, but this is a true collector's item and something which is really rather special. It appears to be perfectly hardy, although we weren't at all sure about that to start with. But Diplopanax stachyanthus is something we very much hope will be in the Bernkoos catalogue before very long and on the website, and snap it up because it's a real showstopper when it's in flower like this. So now we come to our third rarity, which is Ehretia dicksonii. And this is a tree from Taiwan and from China, which doesn't grow to an enormous height in our climate. And again, it has a very peculiar panicle of flowers. When you look very closely, you see that each flower has 5 individual stamens around it, of these little tiny white flowers, which are slightly creamy in bud. And hopefully, come the autumn, we'll get a great panicle of black seeds and be able to collect them. The leaves are very distinct and they're very scabrous, which means they're very rough to the feel of the finger, and really quite hairy as well. If you looked under a microscope, you would see hairs growing on the underside of the leaf and on the top side of the leaf, which gives this some very rough appearance to the touch. The tree grows in a rather gnarled fashion, and I'm afraid Storm Goretti did knock off a few branches and cause it some grief. But just look at the bark. What extraordinary bark, and even on this is a 30 or 40-year-old tree. Look at the bark on the branches going right up through the tree. Extraordinarily fissured and really quite distinct, quite easily recognizable. But this is a rare tree. We've only got 2 plants growing in the garden at Caerhays, and occasionally we've had plants of Ehretia dicksonii available in the nursery, but this is a real rarity, and we've got to work hard to collect the seeds and grow them for a few years to be able to offer something that's a rarity. I see a butterfly has just landed on one of the flowers over there to enjoy the nectar. The smell of the flowers is not terribly attractive. It smells a little bit like privet, and privet isn't really the most attractive of scents, but there we go, you can't have everything. There are only 2 species of Ehretia, and the other one is called Ehretia macrophylla and comes a bit further north in China. Hilliers Nurseries grew this plant on lime, but it needs to be sheltered from the wind, or you get the branches sort of which are already twisted, cracking off in the wind, as they have done here in Storm Goretti. Anyway, a real rarity, a real novelty, Ehretia dicksonii.